Rolling. Huh. I wonder what this button does here.
Oh no, not that one.
Blind and Beyond.
Blind and Beyond.
It's the Blind and Beyond show.
With Ursula Trevetti.
And Dave Hillerbrand.
He'll be talking to all kinds of interesting people in the blindness community and beyond. I wonder where they could be. Let's check on them now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey Hirsch, something weird is happening, man. I think we're landing. Wow.
Sure enough. We have landed, my friends.
Yes, indeed.
And you are tuned to the Blind and Beyond show here on YouTube.
Welcome. Hey, Dave. You done made it back, man. This new
happening
vehicle is
there,
nice,
Hirsch?
man. I like this new car. Is it a car? What are we calling it? We'll figure it out later. But, it's funny. We had some guests and friends, and you went into this interesting vehicle the other day called the Waymo. And we had Miss Sherry on our show that also got to ride in the Waymo.
Ah, yes.
Remember that?
I do
That story?
remember that.
Hey, if y'all haven't, go check out that episode. If you go look in the playlist, you'll go ahead and see one of the titles. It says Waymo in the title. And you get to hear a story about Miss Sherry Brunn. But if you remember, she told you about her friend. And her friend and her got into some, from, what is it, New Orleans, they said? I think New Orleans, right? That's how you say it, right, Martin? New Orleans. Get it right, people. I'm just kidding. They were on a flight together, but they got a plane to themselves or something like that. But before we get carried away, Dave, let me, without further ado, introduce our first guest to our show this evening. She is named Camille Tate, the president of the Florida chapter of NFB, National Federation of the Blind. And I want to know more about her because that's the premise of what I know about her. But Miss Camille, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Camille.
Thank you for
How's it
having
going?
me. Oh, it's going
Absolutely.
great. It's going great. Thank you for having me.
Sure thing. So, Miss Camille, tell us, where do you come from? Florida, or where's Miss Camille originally from?
Originally, I'm from Queens, New York, Far
Okay.
Rockaway, Queens. Yes. I've been in Florida 40 years now, but I'm still a New Yorker.
After 40 years, we could almost adopt you as a Floridian. I'm sure your blood has certainly gotten thin enough. That,
Oh, yes.
And what part of Florida are you in right now?
I live in Melbourne, about an hour east of Orlando along the Atlantic coast, just south of Cocoa. I'm where Patrick Air Force Base is located.
Oh yeah, not too far from where they're sending off all the shuttles and stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
In fact, we've got a big space shot going off here, or I think tonight maybe.
It's Wednesday, actually. The Artemis, right? Is that what you're speaking of?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So like
And,
early in the morning, so that'll be cool.
So, okay, so you started off in New York, and so did you always have vision loss, or where does the vision loss piece come in for you? Or do you have any vision loss?
I am totally blind. In 2005, at the age of 29, I went blind in about a 6-7 month span. And that was from diabetes. So I've been blind 21 years now, or coming up on 21 years.
And for your methodology of coping with it, was that through schools and such from New York, or where did that all kind of start off for you in your journey?
So it was very difficult for many of those who lose their vision, later in life. It was very difficult to cope with at first. But I was living in Palm Bay, just south of here. And it's interesting, my eye doctor actually reached out to the Vision Blind Services for me. I didn't know they existed. And I am the child of a blind parent. My father was blind in New York, had never heard of the Federation, didn't know there were agencies out there to train me. So I started going to a little small training center, not really a training center, but it was a small nonprofit over in Satellite Beach. And they were the first people to put a cane in my hand in 2006. And I kind of haven't looked back since. I've gotten all kinds of training throughout the years to be independent, live on my own. But that journey for me started while I was living here in Florida.
That's what's up. And so coming to satellite and whatnot, what kind of industries were you more prone to, or like, what kind of industry did you get into as far as work or school? Like what interested you?
So I've always wanted to be a lawyer. I was always interested in the law. And then when I lost my vision, I thought I wasn't going to be able to accomplish that. But before then, I worked in banking and finance. I worked at a mortgage company and then a credit union. So with the education I've gotten so far, I am maybe 2/3 of the way towards a law degree, working on my bachelor's degree right now at the University of Central Florida.
Congratulations.
And I'm hoping to
Go
go into
Knights.
disability rights. Yeah.
And that's important because you just mentioned like 20,000 words that were really important there. I'm just kidding. You mentioned a few words that were really, really important. I mean, finance. As blind individuals right now, I feel like I'm stuck in that same, do I work? Do I not work? I have MS. Okay, well, I have to now deal with this other thing. And with even continuously going out there, getting your education done, again, not stopping, even though you mentioned you were starting your law degree initially, but you're back at it, at that phase of going back at completing that task. So where do you think that resilience built from? Was it kind of like your upbringings, or was it, you got to fight?
So I was a little ashamed when I realized this. My father lost his vision when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and he was a graphic artist, but he had learned to walk around his neighborhood in Brooklyn. So when I went blind, I kind of thought, oh, this is it. This is my life. And I was bored. And so I said I would start taking some classes here and there to work on my bachelor's degree. And in fact, it wasn't until I joined the National Federation of the Blind that I realized I could be successful as a blind person. So I'll say the last 11, 12 years or so, I've really worked hard to build myself up. And with the family that I've created in the Federation, that's helped bolster me when you have your ups and downs. When something doesn't work, you get frustrated, I can call a friend. And that has sort of helped me bounce back to where I was, where now I'm willing to fight and put in the energy to accomplish my goals.
So am I seeing the word confidence as your friends have brought you confidence back personally?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And, I feel the same way. I've met you, I think last year from passing, so to speak, but it was the NFB of FL, National Federation of the Blind of Florida chapter meeting held at Altamont Springs area. And, it's sometimes it is overwhelming to make sure you have to handle, let's say, a big conference like that. As your position right now, as you are the president, is that right, of the
Yes.
How long have you been in that position?
I was elected in 2024 for an interim term, and now I was reelected last October 2025 for a full 2-year term.
I've got a better question.
Congratulations.
What made you want to take on such a hard work? Hard
We're
work?
looking at you, girl.
A lot to it with everyone's got an idea of how they can do it better, and most of the time, most of the work's done by 3 or 4 people. So how did you get talked into it? Was it a moment of weakness? Were you you lost your mind for a couple of minutes? No, I'm just kidding.
I kind of almost had to be dragged in kicking and screaming. I love the Federation. I love what we do. I had actually been elected to the affiliate board in 2017, and I'd only been in the Federation about 2 years at that point. Didn't know what I had signed up for, and I was an untitled board member. And I just put my head down and did the work that I love. My passion is advocacy and legislation. And so I started doing all that work. And actually, someone else that's on this call right now took me under his wing and mentored me. He mentored me for about 8 years. And I sort of got talked into it. And I love what I do, even on the days when it's a little overwhelming, but I enjoy what I do. I love going out and networking and being visible as a blind person, not just in my own community, but across the state and across the country, because that's always been one of our biggest obstacles is these misconceptions of blindness. So I like to get out there and talk to people about blindness and being blind and how we're just like everyone else. It's just that our eyes don't function the way other people's eyes do.
Sure,
And
and
that's where I really picked up the love.
and I'm sure you didn't originally start off as saying, "Hey, I want to be a role model" or whatever, but you needed to know what's possible, what we actually can do at the beginning, and so you likely had some role models of your own, and now you can be one for lots of other people by going for your law degree and all the other accomplishments you've had. So, which is awesome. We may not shoot for that, but that's people are paying close attention, and now they know it's something that they can do themselves. So,
Miss Camille, I was kind of curious. Have you had any opportunity to take any of what you've gained from, let's say, Florida back to New York?
No, I don't. I mean, I am now one of the new president. Well, she's not really new, but we were elected around the same time. I've developed a friendship with the president of the New York affiliate. And so I've been branching out and trying to network as much as possible. I am hoping to get to go up to New York to visit family and maybe hang out with some of my NFB family in New York and just be out there so people can see me with my cane and know that they can also do that as well. That's one of the things that has brought me to the point where I am now is so many people would ask me, well, tell me I can't do that. I can't be like you. I said, you don't have to be like me, but you have to feel that you can do what it is you want to do to live the life you want.
And
no,
the
I
word that
assume you have a chance to network with other presidents from other federation states around.
Yes,
You
I do.
get different ideas and compare notes and whatnot.
Absolutely. I
Miss Camille,
love the
we can-
networking opportunity.
Yeah, we definitely comparing some notes after that. You said finance. I need to work on that. Like, we need a lot of things to work on. But with this opportunity that you've had, what have you learned from it personally that has benefited you? Even though from all the trials and tribulations that you've kind of come across, what are those those key takeaways that you could say to a new person that is on this journey, going through something similar or perhaps had that same mindset as a young Miss Camille,
I'm going to say persistence and determination. There are times, like I said, when it gets overwhelming sometimes, or you get very, very frustrated when something doesn't work the way you want. And instead of putting it down, walking away and never looking at it again, you go back to it. That persistence, because at the end of the day, there's very little you are not able to accomplish as a blind person. The only thing we can't do right now is drive. And as you said, that Waymo is going to be a game changer. I actually did the Waymo ride with Sherry Brunn in February. It was awesome. And I was a little skeptical at first. So I had to talk myself into doing it because I used to drive. But it's persistence and determination. And at the end of the day, don't give up on your big dreams. I've had to learn that myself. That's why I'm trying to get a law degree. I'm taking the time to take the classes. I will say UCF is completely accessible. I've not had an accessibility issue, which really helps with the frustration level. But if I don't remain vigilant, persistent, and determined, I may never get where I want to go.
Dave, we got some cool words. Are you writing them down over there, Dave? Persistent,
I'm
visible.
Yep, I'm
I'm just saying that.
taking down all these notes. By the way, Camille, I rode in Waymo the next day after you, so you got us all warmed up there. But I went with Greg Lindbergh here from the Orlando area just the following day, and so we had a good time as well. And I think we went to the same place, to the Lake Lorna Doone Park. So it was pretty exciting. Certainly a smooth ride, and
Yes.
I'm all for it. I love the technology, and to be honest, as you well know from being sighted and even having driven and whatnot, sighted drivers can easily be distracted by a million different things. Yeah,
Yes.
my as my wife is coughing. Yeah, she could be not just her, but of course anyone distracted by a baby crying, by eating while you're putting on makeup, or adjusting the stereo, or any of that kind of stuff. And one thing we know for sure, Waymo's not doing that anyway. So they may get computer glitches, but they're being watched a lot closer than any human ever is being scrutinized. So,
Miss Camille, we didn't get your point of the view or the story. What is this aircraft story that I keep hearing about? Y'all got a private plane, a private jet, or something, or what's that about?
well,
Let's get your perspective.
First, lead up because I know you were in New Orleans for the conference, and I would love to hear. I still haven't heard how the conference went, because of course I know that your trip home was a little bit hairy, which we certainly want to hear about. But first, tell me how you enjoyed the conference there in New Orleans, and what kind of cool stuff were you able to go hit some restaurants and maybe check out some music there when you were there?
So unfortunately, I only got out of the hotel the night before the banquet, so that Saturday night. And I went out with my roommates. I had 3 roommates. And we went to Daisy Dukes.
That sounds like trouble right there, I tell you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We went to Daisy Dukes, and I had never had an Irish coffee as delicious as I had it at Daisy Dukes.
But you were talking with an accent by the time you were done, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And an accent from Louisiana sounds very similar to a New York accent. And my New York accent comes out, sometimes. But I was really accent filled by the time I left. So we went to Daisy Dukes, and then we stopped at a chicken and margarita place on the way back. And so I got out for a couple of hours. But in terms of the convention, I always enjoy my time at convention because I learn a lot of stuff. I'm involved in a lot of things on a national level. And so I love the meetings. I love some of the technology that gets showcased. I did not make it to the exhibit hall last year. I try to go every year, but I just couldn't find the time, and it was only open on limited days. So the workshops were fantastic. I'm a member of the lawyers division, so I go to their long meeting on division day. I serve on our resolutions committee nationally now. So, some of that does take up a lot of time. But what I like the most is being able to sit down and speak with people. So I'd go down to the bar and sit down and talk to the person next to me. So the food was fantastic. It was good even in the hotel.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Kind of burned my mouth a little bit on some of the chicken wings, but it was all good.
The price you have to pay,
Exactly. My mouth was numb, but I always enjoy our conventions. I've gone to every single convention since 2016. I try not to miss any, because one of the biggest parts of doing our business and learning about what's coming out is being able to interact with members I may not see except at convention. So that's always been one of the biggest kicks for me. I absolutely enjoyed the convention. And then, of course, Sherry and I had our horror story coming out.
Before you tell me about the trip home, just a quick question as far as the NFB goes. Now, I understand it's for the entire country. Do you have any people that come in from outside of the country?
Yes.
Any folks from South America or Europe by any chance?
I believe we get between 20 and 30-ish from outside the country. We've gotten the Canadian Federation sends a couple of people.
Cool.
I think this last year we might have had someone from maybe not Israel, but somewhere in that region. We had people who come from Britain. I don't know if we've had anyone from France, at least recently. But we tend to get, between 20 and 30 people that come from other countries. And
cool.
Other countries are looking at us and trying to form something similar to us in like Europe.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is fantastic.
And I'm sure that there's some ideas that we can get from them as to how they handle things. Because
Absolutely.
England's got some great ideas for education and stuff too that I know that we're using here here home in the U.S. So that is always good.
Could you, Ms. Camille, if you could remind me, I know October is typically our conferences here in Florida, but
Yes.
when is our national conference? When is that next?
It
Where
is
is it?
July 3rd through 8th this
Okay.
year in Austin, Texas.
Austin. Okay. We might have to go out there. Dave, you ready to go Austin, Texas, man?
I heard that it was going to be in Austin, and of course, there's so many things to do out there that I bet it would be fun. That's one
So how about food
city
and
that
drinks and
I've
spicy
wanted to
stuff? I
go.
mean, I think y'all about check and check.
That's a great place for blues music, Austin, Texas. So
I love live music. Love
that would
live
be enough
music.
to get me to go right there. So I've got a question for you on the NFB, because I know that both the NFB and the ACB are both very important organizations as far as doing work with the government and trying to get things done for accessibility and that kind of thing. Can you tell us some of the more recent projects that you're working on with the government for switching things? Because I know there's so many things that are going on right now. As far as I understand, the $10 bill is going to be coming out that's accessible, which is woohoo, pretty thrilling, I think.
About
And
time.
yeah. Well, yeah, they've only been talking about it for I don't know how many years, but
Right.
and the crazy thing is, everywhere else in the world except for the United States pretty much has accessible money. All over Europe, um, Canada, very easy to tell what denomination money you've got. Not here, but thank goodness things are changing. So you might tell us what if you can think of anything right offhand. What other stuff that NFB might be working on that they're kind of working on behind the scenes there.
Oh, it seems since last year, we've sort of exploded in our advocacy projects. That's taken up a lot of our time since
That's good.
early last year. One of the big things that we are struggling with right now, there's a lawsuit, Texas versus Kennedy, and the end goal is to declare Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 unconstitutional and illegal. So when it started last year, the state of Texas filed against Bassaro. They had to change it, of course, when RFK Jr. became the Secretary of Health and Human Services. And there was a fight over gender dysphoria being listed as a disability. And there were 17 states, Texas and 16 others, on this lawsuit where they were asking to declare 504 unconstitutional. Now, they have said publicly that's not what they want, but the filings in court at the very bottom is asking for 504 to be declared unconstitutional. And so when Health and Human Services put out a new rule last year that removed gender dysphoria as a disability, 8 of the states withdrew. So there are still 9 states involved in this lawsuit. Florida, unfortunately, is one of them. What they have done now is, in addition to asking for 504 to be unconstitutional, they want to change the way the Olmstead Act functions. So in 1990, there was a Supreme Court case, and what the outcome was that all states are to provide community-based services whenever possible to avoid institutionalizing people with disabilities. So instead of being institutionalized immediately, there are steps to be taken. It's called the implementation mandate to integrate us into the societies where we live. So what the lawsuit is asking now is to have Olmstead interpreted to mean that you can be institutionalized and then Olmstead would kick in and you basically have to fight your way out of an institution. That is not the spirit of the law. And this integration mandate is not only in Olmstead, but it's also in the rules for Medicaid. So that's one of the big things we're fighting right now. We are also fighting the Department of the Army. They are attempting to remove Randolph-Sheppard dining halls from all Army bases, and we're given a waiver by the Department of Education, which we feel violates some of the rules that are put in place, because under the Randolph-Sheppard program, blind vendors are given preference for certain vending services on military bases. We're also trying to get our Blind Americans Return to Work Act passed, where we want Social Security disability to align more with SSI. And so instead of going $1 over and losing all of your benefits, it's more of a gradual slope and a 2-for-1. So every $2 you go over the income threshold for disability, you lose $1 of disability income.
That
That
makes
way,
sense.
you gently get off of disability instead of losing all that money, because that's about, for on average, it's about $19,000 a year in income.
And of
You
course, the
could
whole
lose all
idea
that.
is we want to try to encourage people to be going out and working,
Exactly.
and not discourage them, to try to hang on what they've got, kind of thing. So,
Yes. Like Harshed said earlier, it's, do I go back to work? Well, if I go back to work, I have to keep my income under a certain level to keep my Social Security benefits and some of the other benefits that come along with it. This way, you can keep those benefits and gradually wean yourself off
right, and it
of
might
government programs.
otherwise it might discourage you from getting a better job, for that matter.
Exactly.
You might be qualified for something, but well, I can't make that much money because the government will take away my benefits
Exactly.
and
You'll
all that
lose,
kind
you
of
can lose
stuff.
your
You lose a lot.
housing because you're making too much money and now you can't afford to pay for your housing and for food. And we all know how expensive, exponentially expensive that's gotten in the last couple of years.
Now, you had mentioned the Department of Education is interesting. Please explain exactly how the Department of Education is involved with that. It seems as though that division seems to really have something against blind people. First, they've got that Randolph Act, and then also I understand that they're trying to change some things about the school system where they are going to fund things differently in some of the state agencies too.
So there's a division within Department of Education. The acronym is OSERS, Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services. That contains vocational rehabilitation, the Office of Civil Rights for Education. So if a child is not getting their required accessibility things, they can file a complaint with the OCR, Office of Civil Rights, and they can investigate and ensure that that child is getting what they need under their individualized education program. The older individuals who are blind programs are also run under Department of Education. So what they do is they send the grants to the states from the Rehabilitation Services Administration so that each state can provide the training and the tools that not just blind people, but disabled people in general can receive to get the training to be educated and employed so they're not on government benefits. And so there was a reduction in force done by executive order last October. And the 12 of the states who had senators who were part of the committee that would be hearing these issues were asked to come to Baltimore. And we went over to Washington, D.C. and met with the offices of the state senators, the federal senators on the state level. So we were successful in the fact that when they came back to end the government shutdown, the senators voted to replenish Department of Education staff. It went from 473 employees down to 6. And that is going to remain until, I believe, September 30th of this year when they have to pass the budget again. So what's happening now is there is an attempt to break up the programs under Department of Education and the OSERS, which would be a detriment to us as blind people, blind and low vision people, because they will break up our programs. They're going to reduce the staff again. And those are the experts who have the expertise to guide the states when they have questions and to make sure that funds are sent to each state so that these programs can remain vital and open, and more people who are disabled can get what they need in order to live successfully.
And unfortunately, this is going to slow things way, way down. As we know, you have less people to do the paperwork, less people to provide the guidance. All of a
Yes.
sudden, things don't happen, and a lot of stuff gets pushed under the rug. So we've certainly got to stick with Camille
For sure.
and certainly contact all of your congressmen and let them know what's how you feel. That's the trick. Hey, Camille, do you have something you want to maybe a parting thought or something? That
Yeah, something we forgot potentially that.
because we certainly would we'd love to have you on again, but I'd love to hear any parting thoughts you might have as to, some guidance or suggestions, especially for people that have more recently gone blind, since you've gone through it yourself, maybe something you might suggest.
One thing I want everyone to know, and this is something that's important because I was in the dark, no pun intended, for the first 10 years of blindness. We are there. We are everywhere. You are not alone. I would suggest that when you are going through this journey, going down this road, to find those that are also on the journey, because we will share with you our success stories. We will help you figure things out. Sometimes it's frustrating because it takes a long time to get your services, but all of us who are living with blindness or who are low vision, we know how to cook our food and clean our homes, and we can help you figure those little workarounds so that you can remain independent. It's difficult. It's an emotional toll. And I'm speaking from experience. The first 2 years are probably the very hardest for me. But we are there for you. Find us, because we may not know where you are, but you can find us. We're on the internet. Our contact information is out there. Every community in this state has at least 1 or 2 people who are blind or low vision.
How about
Find us.
sharing the web address, if you would? That would be a big help.
The state web address is NFB Florida, and Florida is all spelled out. So nfbflorida.org.
And then for the national, it'd just be nfb.org. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Perfect.
All right.
Well,
Sounds
thank
good.
you. Thank you so much, Ms. Camille. Like I said, we'd love to have you. And again, if you didn't hear who we're listening to right now, this is Ms. Camille Tate, the president of the Florida chapter of the NFB of FL. Stay tuned. We're going to go to commercial here shortly, and we'll have another guest on the other side. We heard a few inklings about him, and he's also within the NFB, I believe, but just give us a few moments. We have some sponsors to come to.
The revolutionary Cadence tactile tablet is your gateway to a new world of electronic access and communication. At Touchable, we're dedicated to bringing the Cadence tablet's true multi-line braille, tactile animation, and powerful learning tools to the worldwide blind community. The Cadence tablet is shipping today and available for purchase at the Touchable online store. Visit gotouchable.com.
Lynn, I'm looking for the lid to the container for the tuna fish. I want to put the tuna fish in the container, but I can't find the lids.
Michael, the lid is under the toaster oven.
Oh, Lynn, come on now. This is ridiculous. What a joke. Lynn, if you would have gotten Mr. Lid, their lids are attached to the containers. This wouldn't be happening, Lynn.
All right, Michael, I'll go to MrLid.com and we'll get organized.
Thank you.
Tired of losing the lids to food storage containers and cluttered cabinets? Well, Mr. Lid containers solve that with their unique attached lid design, making them easier to find, use, and organize. With sizes from half a cup to 1 gallon, they're stackable, food safe, and easy to clean, making your life easier. Get yours today at MrLid.com. Use code BEYOND15 for first-time customers. That's MrLid.com.
At the Carroll Center for the Blind, vision loss isn't the end, it's a new beginning. Since 1936, we have helped individuals of all ages build the skills, confidence, and independence to thrive in a sighted world. From technology training to mobility and career readiness, we don't just teach, We transform lives. Take charge of your vision loss journey. Visit carol.org.
We are back. It's the Blind and Beyond show here on YouTube. Had a really nice conversation with Camille with the NFB here of Florida. And now, my buddy Hershey is going to introduce our next guest.
Yes, indeed, Dave. We're back and we're back again. Whew. Hope everybody's staying in tune. And sorry, chat, I have not had a moment to look at the chat. But if you have any thoughts, please drop a comment in the comment section or email us at blindandbeyondshow@gmail.com.
By the way, you might say in the comments where you are listening, where you are at.
Please,
because
I can't tell.
That help us to know where we're reaching, and I'm sure we got some folks in here from Florida, but lots of folks around the world. I've got a funny feeling, so it'll be interesting to find out. Just let us know what state you're in or what city. That'd be awesome.
Yes, indeed, and thank you. So, as we were talking to Miss Camille Tate, Miss Camille, if you're still around, that if you you had mentioned that you brought a friend along with you, and matter of fact, I've never met Jorge. Is it Jorge Hernandez? Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, that's him.
All right. So we want to welcome to the stage. Jorge does not have his video, but that's okay. Some of us have vision, some of us have no sight, and think of it that way, right? Just imagine you're not looking at it in a video. But we have ears, we have eyes in our mind, and we could see what you're saying with your words. So, Jorge, I'd like to welcome you to the Blind and Beyond show, and thank you so much on short notice that you were able to partake in our little party here. So welcome to the stage.
Jorge.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Sure thing. So as we started off with Miss Camille, where do you come from originally?
I was born in Cuba. I got to the States at a very young age, and I've been residing in Miami, Florida for 54 years.
I thought you were like 20-something, man.
I don't even feel 20-something. I can assure you that.
Hey, you're down close to my hometown. I was born in Fort Lauderdale, so not too far away.
Oh, just north of me right here, our sister county right north of us. Yeah.
Yep, I was born in Broward General, and my wife and I like going down to Hollywood, so very, very fond of that area for sure.
I do travel up there often, just to get away from the hustle and bustle of this city. Broward is a little bit more tamer, you can say.
Indeed, yeah. Most anything is a little tamer than Miami, that's for sure.
Oh, that's absolutely.
So actually, the most amazing thing is being able to get around in a city like that, because I know my sighted friends comment about what a crazy place it is. It's tough enough just getting parking down there, much less getting from one place to the next. So I'd be kind of curious. I haven't spent enough time to actually try any of the transit down there. I think I know they've got a bus and a tram type system, but what all types of transportation do you use down there?
Geez, we have so many types of transportation nowadays. The city has just blown exponentially. We're almost up to 3 million people in an area that, my opinion, doesn't accommodate well for that amount of people. Yeah,
right.
just to
they
accommodate.
Certainly didn't plan for it anyway.
No, and everything nowadays, instead of having your normal single family home, everything's going straight up condominiums. So, we do have, like you said, we do have a bus system. We do have paratransit. We have our beloved Metro Rail that takes you south of Miami a little bit and Kendall all the way towards north, and then it loops back into the airport.
That's what I was trying to think of, the Metro Rail. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We
when can I
do
get
have
Daytona to do this? Y'all are lucky. I'm just saying, because Miami, Orlando, y'all have transportation, and you just
and yeah,
rattled off even the train system, right? Sunrail, you got a
right.
pair of, what is your train called out there?
We have the Tri-Rail, which actually traverses 3 counties. It goes from Miami-Dade all the way to West Palm Beach,
Nice.
which is not bad, and it's super affordable.
Hmm.
We also have Brightline, which goes right near your guys' area, and as we know, it ends up in Orlando, right at the airport.
Yep.
So we do have ways of commuting in and out of the county and the city itself. But the city internally, it's challenging. It's just too many vehicles out in the road.
Yeah, I want to take Brightline one of these days. I might have to.
It's a really nice, it's a comfortable ride.
I'm just thinking I
can
might
assure
have
you.
to
We'll come visit, man.
sell
Don't
a
worry.
kidney or something to be able to afford to take one.
It's
but,
not. It's super affordable, believe it or not.
Brightline.
I've actually taken Brightline from Miami to Orlando to
That's
be
cool.
up there for some meetings, and round trip was $130.
Yeah, which is not bad. I know
No.
that they
Took
do
a
have
flight.
specials though.
Yeah.
You got to watch the specials and try to catch
Right.
it at the best times. But
And you also do not want to go first class. That's where it gets, because they have different levels of seating, like in an aircraft. So if you want to go the luxurious way to Orlando in 3 hours and have beverages and something to munch on, then you will pay a heftier price.
well, yeah, I
But
want something to drink and some munchies. Come on.
oh, well, then that's where you got to look for those specials, right?
Yeah, that's where I have to bring my little bag of popcorn with me, I guess.
And
or
a soda
something.
pop, right?
Right, exactly.
So, Mr. Jorge, we were talking to Miss Camille a little moment a while ago, and we had brought up NFB. Could you express to us, how does NFB sit in with Mr. Jorge? Or how did you get introduced to
Wow.
NFB?
Um,
Because we heard you're a mentor of some kind, and I mean, I'm pulling out my notebook out and everything.
yeah, I got some big shoes to fill right now after her interview, right?
Nah, you good, brother. You're good. Feel at home.
Yeah, I've got a lot to
Um,
learn myself, man. So I'm taking.
We all
notes
have a
here.
story, and like I said, her story was fascinating to learn from, and her empowerment. And I'm sure you have your own story of empowerment, because again, she studied from you. She just said that. So
Well,
don't
yeah, she
second
did.
guess yourself, sir.
Um, the Federation means everything to me. I've been involved in the federations I was involved since 1995. I stepped away for it for a while, and I came back to the Federation in 2011, and they welcomed me back with open arms. I've served in many capacities in our affiliate. I am still the chapter president of my local chapter here in Miami. I had the pleasure and honor to mentor somebody who's blossomed to be now the president. I was past president before Camille.
That's making you look pretty good, huh?
See?
Yeah, listen, I did something right. So it is empowering. It is empowering that I know I can wake up every day, go to work, travel independently with my white cane, and return home and still do other extracurricular activities throughout the course of the evening, mentoring people.
So what type of work? What kind of work do you do there, Jorge?
I wear many hats, and there's not construction hats.
Oh, you're a hat guy, huh?
But it is actually many different construction hats, because we're building a better, I'm not going to say world, because it's a broad things to say, but a better society, knowing that we as blind individuals do contribute a lot to our communities. I'm employed. I'm full-time employed. I know Camille had touched up on Social Security and the slope, the easy slope, which we're trying to get Congress to understand. I have not seen a Social Security check in over 35 years, so I don't know what that looks like.
Well, that's a wonderful thing that
Um,
that you're doing so well that you don't, because not everyone needs Social Security, and it's just
Correct.
it's great to have when necessary to help help buffer, but it's also got to be pretty liberating when you're making a living to the point where you don't have to even think about receiving it.
And I
Correct.
think, would you agree that healthcare is the main underlier in this situation where, like, you're making your money, but it's all about the healthcare system if it works for you? Would you say that's one of the.
Yes, actually, as an employed individual and somebody who's actually receiving some type of supplementary income, it always come down to that. Health insurance or health care is expensive. We
Yes.
know that we all need it. We need to be healthy in order to be able bodies. So unfortunately, we're faced with obstacles that, if I cannot see a physician, um, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to be able to continue to work or continue to do the work I do? How am I going to uh, produce for my family? I'm married. I have a 27-year-old stepdaughter.
And we don't
So
have quite as many choices
we
when it
don't.
comes down to jobs and stuff. I mean, like I've told our kids before, uh, the ability to be able to go up to Wendy's or Taco Bell and get a job until something else better comes along is
Right.
a wonderful thing. And people think that, it's, oh, you got to get something for, working for fast food, but it's a wonderful thing that you can do that,
Absolutely. And there's
where
nothing wrong with that.
no, and
Because
exactly, just the fact your working period doesn't matter what you're doing, you're making an income, and that unfortunately that is something that is a liability. Somebody like Wendy's or McDonald's is not likely going to hire me to be flipping burgers, and
well, not
probably they're pretty smart in that regard.
well,
But
nowadays, literally everything is
Automation.
automation. You
that's
just
true.
flip
They,
it
they
in
got a
there, toss it
robot
in there,
flipping the
tuck it in there.
burgers.
They do, believe it or
Dave, you
not.
know that red
Some
button that we
places
push
they
in the
do.
show? You hit the red
Right.
button, just bloop.
Yeah, and off we
Bueller the
go.
buzzer is over there flipping the burgers
Um,
instead.
but when it comes to employment, um, there's literally no limitation. I mean, there are some, but we can do almost anything. Um, when I was in college, everybody or counselors were telling me you should go into psychology because all you need to do is read, think, and write. And I'm like, that's
Oh, is
boring.
that all? Yeah,
That's boring.
that seems like a lot, but
Yeah, but that's boring to me. I'm like, that
Right.
doesn't fill my realm. I'm like, that
right.
that, that doesn't, it really didn't catch my attention.
Hmm.
And I started taking a lot of math courses. I love mathematics. And then a friend of mine, we were just chatting one day. He goes, I'm going to go into the computer science field and see what it has for me. And I'm like, huh, that sounds interesting. What is it all about? And back in the old days, technology was not what it is today.
Yep. Really slow and
So,
steady.
yeah. So, I did venture into the computer science realm and did finish a degree at a bachelor's level in information
Congratulations.
technology.
Wow, good for you.
So I was employed as an IT network analyst for almost 25 years.
Very good.
And then at an old age, I decided to go back to school and finish my master's degree.
Hold up, blind people could do this.
Right. So,
Because
so
every time, people are like, wait, how did he become an IT?
yeah,
Persistence.
persistence is the key. And Camille said it best.
Right.
You need to be persistent in what you want to do.
And of course, you're going in for your master's. It's not like you got it at the same time, right after the bachelor's, because
I didn't. I had
because
some
now
time off.
technology's marched along, and you've had to pick up as it's marched along. You've had to pick up a whole lot more knowledge, I'm sure, to get that
Absolutely.
bachelor's.
Absolutely. So, when I went back to school for my master's degree, I'm like, well, what am I going to study? Because I was already deviating from the technology realm. So I started researching and said, public administration sounds like a good field to get into.
So which university do you attend?
I graduated from my undergrad degree from Florida International,
Oh, cool.
FIT, okay.
FIU.
FIU,
And
sorry.
yeah, FIU. And then I have my master's degree from Barry University.
Cool. Yeah, there's a campus right there in Orlando, Barry.
Yeah. Oh, they have several campuses throughout
Yeah.
the state.
Yeah.
There's one not too far from my house.
Okay.
So,
So how did you find the everything being as far as accessibility goes at
the best experience I've ever had.
Yeah,
Barry
FIU is
University
pretty
was awesome. At
Even
the
on your
master's level,
Okay.
it was an awesome experience. I did not encounter in my 2 years in the program a single glitch in the system where I said I can't do this.
Now,
The
does Barry
professors,
have they've got an accessibility department of
absolutely,
sorts?
absolutely, yes, extremely accommodating. And all my courses were online, so I wasn't on campus.
Nice.
So my way of communicating with the university itself was, either through the learning module platform that they have or emails, and I never had an issue with them. As a matter of fact, it was an excellent experience to have, knowing that I can actually sit at my computer and not worried about, is this going to be accessible to me?
Right.
And
all that stuff, that all your online classes were reasonably accessible as far as you.
fully accessible.
And you're totally blind, is that right?
Totally blind.
So there you go. And like I say, mentioning to Camille, I'm sure you didn't set off saying, "Hey, I want to be a role model," but the fact is, you're showing other people that it can be done is an important thing. If you want to be called a role model or whatever, it's you're proving it can be done. So.
Plus, celebrating, universities or any colleges that are willing to put the efforts in. I mean, UCF,
Exactly.
I've gone to UCF as well, and they're incredible at accepting what is necessary for accessibility needs. We have Valencia College.
Yes.
They do really excellent work out there too. I remember Jill St. McCloskey years ago, just working alongside, and then to watch her journey get from it's a regular counselor to director, and this is all about human beings. I always say that from any perspective, blind, hearing impaired, or hearing loss, excuse me, because they don't like the word impaired. I don't know if you do, but whenever we think about all of these kind of intersections of where we are today in 2026, Jorge, what would you say to our audience that they could improve on by word of mouth? Like, what can we advise to our audience that could help them in their journey or help them improve the experience? Because you've paved your own way so far, but what is something?
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself.
Have confidence in your own abilities. Don't be afraid of the unknown. You need to get out of your comfort zone.
There you go. And it's not easy to get out of your comfort zone. I can tell you from, and that's the important thing. People have to realize, that I know you're a very smart guy, but you're not like a superhuman. It's the fact that you're a guy like us, but the fact is that you've taken that step out of the comfort zone and look where it's gotten you. So that is excellent.
Yeah, and I think Camille said it best when it comes to the Federation. There are days that I might be a little down. I can just make a phone call, reach out to a friend and say, "Hey, I'm going through all these things today. I need to speak to somebody."
Right.
And they're always there for us. I mean, I speak to Camille, I think sometimes too much.
Yeah. Well, it can't hurt to reach out and get somebody else's feedback, and
absolutely
to help. We got to watch out for each other. So, hey, now with the Federation, I know that every group's probably got certain opinions on this, but not representing the Federation, but just you in general. The term what was it, vision impaired versus blind versus whatever. What is your opinion on that? What is there a particular catch-all phrase, or does it matter to you? To me, I don't care. They can call me blind, visually impaired, four eyes, or whatever. But you know, but
Are you making fun of me, Dave, with my glasses on?
and I've got some on too. But I'm sure that I imagine the organizations may have an official
Right.
feel on it. But what do you think?
Well, if you look at the terminology impaired, right?
Sounds pretty bad, doesn't it?
It does. Sounds like you're broken, right?
It
Impaired.
does.
Well,
Ouch.
my eyes are not broken, or I'm not broken per se. I just can't see. I am a fully functional human being that just does not have the perception of sight. That's all. Blind to me is the norm. Even if you are low vision, if you pass that threshold of 2200, you are considered to be
Blind. Sorry.
legally blind.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you. That's
it,
what I would think too. But
right. I mean, we don't have the ability to drive anymore because, hey, you know what? You're legally blind. Give me your driver's license.
right.
So even the definition itself states it,
Sure.
and it's respectable to be blind.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, when I do a lot of traveling for work and even for the Federation, and I'm the happiest go luckiest person there, and I am extremely comfortable with who I am and my abilities. So they can call me, "Hey, blind man," and yes, how can I help you? Right?
I say it's
So
probably talking to you, right?
right, I hope
Unless
so, because
you're
I hope there's not another blind person that it's around me. But
right.
it's always good to have that self-esteem, that confidence, the ability to know, hey, I am functional just as anybody else is. Nothing can stop me, you know. So
And also, if you got that kind of confidence, you're less likely to be offended by somebody saying
yeah,
something, and they may not mean anything bad by it anyway. They're
true.
just fishing for whatever. But if you do
Well,
have the confidence in yourself, with some flub of someone expressing themselves is not gonna
it does
throw you
not.
a curve.
And sometimes that is a teachable moment.
Sure.
If they're, next to you and they're having a conversation with you, it's always something that we need to do to educate people, to make them understand that, hey, we're normal. Nothing's gonna go haywire here if you stand next to me or sit next to me on an airplane, right?
Yeah, it's not going
Hope
to
not.
rub off. I've known.
It won't.
I've met people that were like that though. They were very concerned that
Yes, they are.
could
Yes, they
rub
are.
right off on them. And goodness gracious.
So, Mr. Jorge Hernandez, if there's something that we've left behind that we've not asked you, but you think that our audience must know, what would that be?
Especially here in a blind community, correct?
Sure.
Correct.
Any community that you
Or any
want to.
community in general.
We got all kinds of communities watching
It's
us
the
here,
blind
so
and
you
beyond,
don't
after all.
know.
So.
It's beyond, yeah. Especially when the rocket took off at just launched.
Right.
There you go.
One thing I can say is be good to each other. Just because we're different doesn't mean we just can't be friends or we can't communicate. Just because some of us are blind or have low vision, or just don't think of us different. Think of all of us as human beings, that we can respect each other, and trust me, we'll be a better world in the long run. I mean, I respect Camille dearly. I did mentor her, like she said, for over 8 years. I never met her. I just walked up to her in one convention and said, I know you were not ready for the board. I didn't vote for you, but I need to talk to you in private. You need to learn some things. And we've built a friendship that's been, ongoing for God knows how long already.
And
So
respect is the key to a lot of things, not just with blindness, just with our fellow man. You know,
Yep.
absolutely.
you don't
Respect,
have to agree on
equality.
everything, but that common respect is a big deal. So
it
We're
is the
all
biggest
just human
thing.
beings
Absolutely. And beyond.
and beyond.
he's got it.
All right. It was such a pleasure to have you on, Miss Camille. Such a pleasure to have both of you on this evening. Hope we could get you back in here soon. And ladies
Absolutely.
and gentlemen out there, thank you so much. If you have questions for Jorge Hernandez or for Miss Camille Tate, please drop some comments down there. Maybe they'll see them, they'll read them, they'll answer you. We never know how you could get connected. Remember, be visible.
Such a
Remember?
pleasure to have you on, my friend. And
Thank you.
let's
And I
do it
appreciate
again sometime.
And next time I'll be the designated hitter whenever you guys need me.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
I'll be the designated drinker.
You got that one on me, my friend.
You know, I couldn't be the designated driver, so that's.
That's a good one. All right, guys.
Thanks
Enjoy.
so much.
All right. Well, Dave, do we have a couple more words from our sponsors today, or are we gonna go right on into?
We're going to go right on in talking to our next guest here in just a second or two. And like now, for example, I'm kind of anxious to find out who we've got in the wings there.
So, Dave, you've enjoyed yourself so far, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we always have some interesting, wonderful guests, and if you remember, you
Actually,
were
before we get into the guest,
Yeah.
we do have a couple comments. So this is
Oh,
a
we do.
perfect
Okay.
opportunity.
Please.
Miss
Yes.
Brenda is here, and she can fill us in on the comments.
Scary face. So, Juju's Hot Wheels Adventure says, looking good. I'm going to take off. A great show, y'all. And also, at N4DAL says, be a hero, not a Karen.
I like that.
And then he says,
Daniel.
and then he says, take me drunk. I'm home.
Well, you know what? We were
like
actually
that.
going to have N4DAL live on air, but my condolences goes out to the family, and as well as thank you so much for what you do. He is one of our ham operators here in the Volusia County area, and also
Does a lot of stuff for the community.
a lot
we
of stuff for the
appreciate that,
community.
Daniel.
So thank you, Daniel, for your words. And so as I was saying before, Dave and I, we were at the NFB conference in October. It feels like we keep going back there, but we did bring a guest and friend along last time, as we said, and well, that friend of ours ended up in California at the California State University Northridge Conference, CSUN for short.
Hey,
And-
we need to give him the official introduction here. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, feast your eyes on David Schleppenbach.
Hello. Thank you very much, Dave.
I heard
great
Welcome
intro.
back. Welcome back.
even Camille was there. You hear her? She was yelling, "Yay!"
Well, welcome back, Dave. And how are you feeling?
Well, you travel a lot. You end up being tired. I feels like I've been all over the country the past 30 days, and I was looking
Because
at
you
my
have,
travel,
strangely enough.
coast to coast, and looking at my travel schedule for April. I don't think it gets any easier. But I love traveling and love meeting new people, as you guys well know, and looking forward to getting back down to Orlando sometime in April.
So did you bring Miss Darlene and any of the kids out to California with you?
Believe it or not, this trip was just for Darlene and myself, and good thing because we ended up pretty much being on call about 16 hours a day at the show. It's quite a busy show if you've never been, a real spectacle. But we did get a chance, I would say, to have one highly recreational thing I recommend to everybody. If you are in the Anaheim, California area, you must eat at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. World
That sounds
famous.
good.
You've never had a meal until you've had a chicken and a waffle together.
I would never think of that as a California dish per se, but actually it sounds familiar, Roscoe's. I think I have heard of that.
Yeah, they've been around quite a while, and Let me tell you something. They have Southern fried chicken with yams, collard greens. They know what they're doing.
Man,
Cornbread.
you're killing me. We could go for that, Brenda.
Maybe we should just pause the show and go eat. What do you
I
guys
mean,
think?
they got me on Greek already, Dave. I mean, you've already got me spoiled on all these other.
That's true. There's so many possibilities. Well,
So many.
But you know what, Dave?
it's not like Dave doesn't like to eat. We know that. But
Coming back to that, and happy March Madness to you. It is basketball season after all. How's Indiana doing? Any good? Are they still in it?
So
Or
Purdue
Purdue.
University, yep, Purdue went pretty far. They made it to the Elite Eight. They were actually leading Arizona at halftime. Ended up losing that game, but well fought game, and Purdue definitely represented the state well as far as the Indiana.
Is
schools
Arizona
go.
the final four or the final two? How many is left?
Arizona's in the Final Four. They were a number one seed, so they were the favorite. And
You've done right, my friend. You've left the seed of Purdue in my head that if I ever see anything about Purdue, I'll know better. No, I'm
There you
kidding.
go.
I saw it on the sports thing, and I'm like, on the news, and I was like, wait, whoa, they've made it that far. I wonder if Dave is watching. And you're also a basketball player.
played basketball growing up, played
Growing up.
baseball growing up. It's hard to grow up in the Midwest and not be a basketball player, especially if you are
especially
above a certain
Indiana of
height.
all places.
Exactly. And I was actually thinking about that. My wife, Darlene, and I took the train to Los Angeles for the conference. And let's just say a gentleman of my stature does not fit well on the train beds.
I wondered.
You can't
First,
hide
you'd probably be
anyway.
fine, but it was a challenge for me. So,
Whack, ow.
but it was a good experience, though. I recommend if you've never ridden on the trains.
What is that, Amtrak or who did you
Amtrak,
take?
yep.
Okay.
You can take that cross country. We've done that several times, and it's a really good experience.
Give a rough estimate. How much would it be from, let's say, approximately where you're from, Indiana area to, I don't know, Cali, or is it thousands of dollars? Is it
No,
500?
it's comparable to airline. I mean, just like with the Bright line you were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
if you want the first class or something, it costs more. But it's reasonable pricing. It's not that much different than flying. It just takes a little bit more time, and you get
Okay.
some meals included and meet some new people. So
So definitely a
experience.
mode of transportation for blind or
Perfect for
anyone
blind
with
people. In
disability.
fact, believe it or not, there was a blind lady on the train with us, rode from
Cool.
Chicago to LA.
Awesome. Well, there you go, folks.
She
And
had
a
her
little
dog with
less
her
to
and
go
everything.
wrong too on those trains. I might,
Yeah, a
I
lot
might
less to
add
go
too.
wrong. Yeah.
So
So the CSUN conference was pretty cool. I wish you guys could have been there.
yeah, because I know we talked about Asia, and then I know we were all like, "Hey, Dave, you better make it a CSUN." And we had a guest last week, Daniel Lubiner of Braille Doodle, and as I was reading through my emails, it's like, "Hey, Cadence is going there too." So how was that experience? You guys shared a booth, I'm presuming.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Had a couple good meals as well, of course, and as Dave knows, I'm a fan of eating and food in general. But the conference itself was terrific. I got to say about Daniel and the Braille Doodle product, what a really cool product.
Absolutely.
And for anybody that's watching, if you haven't heard of it, you should check it out. Touchpad Pro Foundation and the Braille Doodle. It's sort of the low-tech version of what we're doing at gotouchable.com with the Cadence. Really inexpensive, low-tech, but amazing tool for learning.
What's funny is
But wow,
both
was
you kids
that
in a
show
toy
was
store
just
there.
packed, just absolutely packed.
Well, both of you were like little kids in a toy store because you both
Yes.
had similar ideas. You went to go pick up the thing from Spencer's where you could put your hand on the needles, and that was the Cadence essentially. Well,
That's
not-
right.
But then he had some similar idea of like, hey, beads, a metal can, or whatever it is, a mount, a mold, and so it's really interesting to meet or to see that fascination of interaction there, and both of you are CEOs or of their respective companies per se too, but along with that, can you audio describe what else did you see at CSUN? Like did you walk by Sony, and what did you see at Sony's booth?
Yeah, for sure. And the common theme here seems to be to spend a lot of time playing with toys. So I've got that one. I've got the food and the toys. I'm good.
Now, lots of toys out there. And actually, before you tell us that, though, I'd be kind of curious. Do you have any idea how many vendors were there? Because I know it is huge.
It
just to
was
get it?
huge. So it was at the Anaheim Marriott, which is attached to the Anaheim Convention Center, which not maybe quite as large as the Orlando Convention Center, but
If you
still pretty
didn't
big.
know, the World Center Marriott is the world's largest Marriott as far as property size. Atlanta is the largest room size.
There
So,
you go. So this is probably up in the top five anyway, but
yep.
they had two gigantic ballrooms for the exhibit. So it was actually two full exhibit halls, both across the hall from each other. And just as a logistics tip for people that go, it is a little confusing to navigate the property. There's a lot going on there in that facility. And some people even end up staying in different hotels nearby. So keep that in mind that you might want to allocate extra time if you're trying to find a specific vendor. And I would say, without going back and counting, there were hundreds of vendors. It was really something. You could easily have spent several days looking at everything.
I mean, it is pretty much the biggest conference, wouldn't you say, of its kind?
Definitely the biggest in the disabilities space and assistive technology space. And the other thing that was really cool is I met people from countries I didn't even know were countries. Very strong international presence at this place. Some people flying for 20 hours to get to the conference. Amazing.
Now, this is not just blind people either, right? This is covering a lot of different disabilities?
All disabilities. It is very strong in visual impairment and blindness and low vision. Has deaf and hard of hearing, mobility, what's called AAC or augmentative and alternative communication, learning disabilities. You name it, they had everything there, and really some pretty cool ideas and very innovative.
So, Dave,
for
was
the
that
tech.
like half the size of Asia?
I would say that
Or
this.
is Asia half the size of it?
I would say ATIA is maybe half the size of CSUN, maybe even less than half.
Holy
Yeah,
moly. Holy
yeah,
moly.
gigantic. And ATIA was pretty big, right?
Yeah, just because Asia wasn't, I mean, as far as, they have a whole bunch of stuff happening at the Marriott there. It's just the conference room, as you said, the two ballrooms, size of the exhibition hall alone. And this conference is mainly an exhibition hall type of conference, or is it like
Oh,
you go to sessions and other
tons of
things?
sessions. They have all sorts of things. They have a lot of sessions. They have training. You can go to academic papers. There's a lot of papers presented. Colleges and universities. We were in what's called Startup Row, which is a part of one of the exhibit halls dedicated just to startup companies. They also have white papers from graduate students, poster sessions, and all sorts of after hours activities, receptions sponsored by different groups, and you name it, they have it. Even things like karaoke night, they had that at the show as well. So just amazing, really, when you think about it.
You better be good at taking notes, or bring your secretary with you, because there's a lot you got to pay attention
Hey,
to
Dave,
make sure
Dave,
to
you could
get
take
to
this
the
thing
right
called a
places.
Cadence tablet, Dave. Have you
Yeah,
heard of
you
it?
could use that
You could
Cadence
just take
tablet, might
notes.
help you.
I was definitely using the Cadence tablet quite a bit. I think I got my fingers sore from all the pushing of buttons. But in terms of what was shown there, if I had to summarize, I would say that the two things that have really shown explosion in the assistive technology space would be AI and robotics. There's just a lot going on in those two sectors now, and I saw some pretty wicked stuff. To give you an example, you mentioned Sony's booth.
Yes.
They had their robot dogs there. How would you like to have a
Aibo,
robot dog
right?
helper?
ABO, I want to call their dog's name.
As long as you don't have to feed it,
There's no
guess I
food,
could.
no water.
Maybe
Now, I
maybe
got to
some
tell you,
electricity.
Maybe
they do
oil.
use electricity, a lot of it. But
Yeah,
I
I
got to
bet.
tell you a funny story. There were obviously some real dogs there as well, and we were actually located next to the Southern California Beat Baseball Association booth.
Hope you don't
That's
get hit by
fantastic.
any fly balls or anything.
No fly
Beep, beep, beep,
balls,
beep.
but I did have a great conversation with those guys. A shout out to them if they happen to be watching. Wonderful group of guys. We talked baseball for most of the show whenever we had some downtime, and
Oh, that's up your alley, dude.
it
I
was right up
know.
my alley, and had some really good fun times. And they how great of them to get their team to sponsor them to come out, and all they were doing is just trying to recruit people to play in their team. They're tired of losing to the East Coast.
Dave,
So
Oh
if you
man.
if you want to if you have their contact, watched this show. We had actually a gentleman from Illinois. He held the, was it 35 years, right, Dave, for World Hall of Fame of beat baseball. So, some of these athletic sports and things, and you've met Greg Lindbergh out here in Orlando. That also does his Ice Freeze podcast. So, I'm glad that these conferences allow people to know exactly that we're visible. We are out here doing these things.
I was shocked at how much of the general public showed up just to try to understand, what's going on. And, so many family members coming with disabled people and, trying to find things to help their loved ones or learn more about what their world is like. And a lot of connections. You could tell a lot of people, they consider the group that goes to this conference like friends and family. They're meeting up and spending time together, and they see each other once a year at the show.
And for anyone that's out there, maybe that is something you save it for all year, right? If it's that one vacation, plan it during the month of what month is this again? March, or was it in April and February?
It's usually in March, and I think it has moved around a little bit, but
okay,
yeah,
typically second week or third week of March.
Right.
And Asia is typically the end of January.
End of January, that's right.
And that is most of the time held in Orlando, Florida. There are other conferences that do shift around. So CSUN has not moved. It obviously stands for California State University, Northridge. And it's, what was that again? San Diego that you were in?
Anaheim. Yeah.
Anaheim.
So it's interesting because I've been going to that conference for what we in the business like to say an undisclosed number of decades, right,
Yes.
Dave? And I remember when it started at Cal State Northridge is where it started, and the conference was held at the Los Angeles Airport, Hilton, and Marriott. And the originator of that conference eventually retired, and the conference ended up getting sold off away from the university and into a private group. And for a while, it moved down to San Diego, and now it's back up in Anaheim. It's been in Anaheim for a while. And I will say that, I haven't been every single year, but I've been most years for that long period of time. And I did not meet anyone that had been to more CSUNs than I had.
Now, the folks that go to CSUN, these are not necessarily business people or whatever. These are the average Joe, blind person and or disabled people or whatever. They're not always scholars or whatever. Is that right?
You got it right. Yeah, I would say at least half the attendees are just ordinary people that this was a big event for them to check all the new stuff out.
Yeah, and you know what? It is so important for us to be advocates and to learn what is out there as myself as a blind person or whatever your disability is, because we've got state agencies that can help us, like in our blind case, the Division of Blind Services. They can quite often help you with equipment, but it's good for us to know what's out there. Otherwise, we're putting it all in their hands, and there's a lot of stuff that they may not know about. They're not out there going to CSUN necessarily every year, so
that's right.
It's important to know what's available.
So I'm sorry, because I'm pretty curious about Sony still. I haven't lost the taste there. You saw the Aibo dog. What other?
He wants a robot dog, Dave.
I actually wonder camera is because
I can't believe it.
The camera actually have a screen reader, Dave. So that's why I was fascinated by what Sony's bringing to the table. But every year, it seems they try to push the envelope. Like one year, I heard they had a little device that reflected on your retina, and you were able to see a little bit better if you had weak retinas per se, or weak parts of your eyes. So I was just curious: has Sony done anything? Because there's so many ups and downs in our economics of the world.
Yeah.
But where are they standing in that? Because they're one of the bigger companies there. I mean, Apple and Google are bigger for Asia, I would say, whereas Sony seems to stand out at CSUN.
Yeah, and just to kind of look at summarizing the conference, we can start with the big tech companies. So one thing that is a little unique about CSUN and encouraging to me, maybe different this year than previous years, is there was a very large presence by the large tech companies. So as an example, you had Sony, as I mentioned, you had Amazon, Google, you had Apple, you had Microsoft, and even some other fairly large companies there. And they all had things that were worth showing. You know, it wasn't
Yes.
just we showed up just so that we would be here. It was we have some things that we're thinking about to help people with disabilities, and we want to hear from you and understand how to make it better. And in Sony's case, you know, it's pretty clear that they have a company push towards what I would call devices for assisted living, whether that's elderly or people with various disabilities. You know, the robot dog is meant as a companion to help you around the home, or you know, maybe you know, to get to and from your transportation, that type of thing. Not meant to replace a guide dog per se, but more of a dog to help with simple things around the house. And they had a number of other gadgets sort of slanted towards that,
I wonder
similar
if
to
we can get them
Amazon.
to do the dishes. That would be something really big. I
Yeah, you
could.
got to have children for that one, I think. Robot dogs won't, and as far as I know, there are no robot children yet.
Yeah, I
So
don't want to short the poor puppy out, you know.
yeah.
Just asking. Never mind. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but you know, so if you looked at Amazon, for example, they seem to be moving Alexa more and more towards kind of a similar role where, you know, it can serve as an assistant to help you with tasks that might be difficult for you otherwise, you know, either to shorten the time it takes or to do the task for you. I have noticed a lot more intercompatibility discussions going on with the big tech companies and what I would call assistive technology devices. You might think of like switches, sip and puff tubes, and other things for those in wheelchairs.
Yes. Yes.
Obviously, things like screen readers and braille displays for blind people and hearing aids, you know, where these companies are actually thinking about direct connections and not just dismissing it as not worth their time.
Please,
There's
sip and puff tubes. Please.
there's actually
I have heard of that, but being a blind guy, I am interested in other disabilities and what they
Well-
use. So explain, please.
Sure.
even switch controls, right? Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
basically what it
You
is?
got
a
it
switch
exactly.
control?
So the big challenge for a lot of people who are mobility impaired, and that could be paraplegic, quadriplegic, whatever the particular condition could be, even if they have some motility, but they large muscle movements only,
Right.
is controlling whatever is either around them or the environment that they're in. So either a way to control their wheelchair or a way to control things around them. You could think of it as simple as like lights in a room or opening and closing doors, but it could be a lot more complex. So historically, you know, in the early days, the way to do that was basically just big switches. So rather than a tiny little switch, which you would need some fine dexterity to hit, like a button, they would make a gigantic switch the size of a dinner plate. And as long as you could mash it with part of your arm, you know, you could activate something, right? So it was a way to control basic things, but switches are kind of limited in that they're either on or off. And some people have no mobility at all, or maybe just a little bit of head motion. So then we got into sip and puff, which is a tube that's like a straw, and you actually blow into it or sip on it, just like you would a straw, and it picks that up and uses that to trigger things. Maybe it, like I said, it could open and close the door or turn lights on and off or even steer your wheelchair. It's amazing
Oh
technology.
yeah, I did know a gentleman that actually used his chin to direct his wheelchair and move it
Yep.
going different directions. So
And
it
you know,
is
since we're
amazing.
talking about this stuff, I got to give a shout out to some other good friends of mine. Great company called Augmental. They make a product that goes in your mouth. You wear it like a retainer, and you use your tongue to steer the mouse on your computer or device.
Holy
Just
mackerel!
just brilliant idea. It's absolutely essential for people who are quadriplegic or have certain mobility impairments. And it actually custom fits to your mouth. You know, they have a whole system to do that. Just an amazing product. And what really blew me away was the number of startups. We're starting to see a really rich explosion of startups, things like the mouth mouse that I mentioned and the Braille Doodle that we talked about. There's just lots of these ideas, and it's great to see that diversity of tech coming into our space.
Oh yeah, and one of the devices that's been out for a number of years now, but I've always been amazed is with folks with Lou Gehrig's disease when they have gotten to a point where they've lost any ability to control muscles, they can still activate a computer by actually blinking to activate
gaze
certain
and,
things.
a lot of
Yeah,
times
the
I
eye
remember
gaze
seeing
tech
it.
and the blinking tech, I back an undisclosed number of decades ago, I was working on some research through Department of Defense, and that's really how the eye gaze and blinking technology developed. So that was intended for fighter pilots. And the idea was that the pilot could not take their hands off the controls, but they could use their eyes through the HUD to do various tracking and signaling. And one very important thing when you're flying a jet and you have a lot going on is you need to be able to see the enemy aircraft and understand, your vector in relation to them and so forth. And so that's really where that technology came from, following the pilot's eyes and causing that to interface with the computer systems. That got taken out and put into disabilities, and now you can be in a wheelchair and just with moving your eyes or even blinking, you can control things. It's all done with cameras. You don't have to have anything attached.
Should
Really
be able to be a
amazing.
fighter pilot, you would think, right?
You can be a fighter pilot right from your chair.
The only
Yeah.
thing that we have to always consider is what operating system is it on, right? So if it's a Windows machine type of deal or a Mac type of machine deal,
Yeah, and that's
that's
the great thing about this stuff is what I've seen another trend the past couple years, and this was deeply reflected at this year's CSUN, is everything is cross-platform now.
interesting.
It's just like with the Cadence, we support whatever phone, tablet, or computer that you have, and we try to be as open as possible. And I feel like that philosophy is really spreading, and everybody's trying to be cross-platform because nowadays, everybody wants to pick the device that they're using.
Can you put that on my Windows 98 machine? Huh?
Windows
Just
98
kidding.
is
Just
a
kidding.
no-go.
No go. Sorry, Dave.
Windows
But
98 was a no-go for Windows.
That's true. That is true.
Because
I couldn't resist. Sorry.
we were bringing up mobility and such, but it's the cross platformization of all these disabilities and abilities that we all carry. As I was talking to Daniel, we talked about people that might have autism and other abilities per se, and I look at the Cadence tablet. Yes, it's meant for the blind, typically, but I'm going to ask you the same question. What else would you say the Cadence tablet could be used for, or whom can it be for, aside from the blind?
Because I could think autistic folks could also take advantage of it for,
Daniel got to say, so what do you think there, Dave? Schleppenbach?
Yeah, it's kind of funny you mentioned that because one of the things that I was really surprised about at the conference was the number of people that came to the show and came to see the Cadence who were not blind or low vision, but were interested in the Cadence. We had a number of people on the autism spectrum. They thought this would be a great tool. In fact, there was one young man, his dad had him with him, and he was let's just say, very excited about the Cadence. The boy was, and I was helping him a little bit with his letters, and this was a big event for him. He was jumping up and down and waving his hands around and barely able to contain himself. But we also had some teachers who work with students with severe ADHD. They thought that tactile therapy could be useful in that regard. And we had some kids with other learning disabilities. So I really feel like it is cross-platform. And again, that not just with the Cadence tablet, but I've seen that trend with a lot of devices where they really try to make the technology available to a wide variety of disabilities. And if you think about it, it makes sense, especially if you're a big tech company. If you're going to make your system accessible, whether it goes into someone's hearing aid, goes on a braille display, or interfaces somehow through voice with their wheelchair, it's all the same, really. It's just making sure the technology is compatible.
Yes, indeed. And before we go on a little break here, just to remind you, there are some coupons still going on for today and tomorrow, but we'll get some more information. But take a little quick break here, and we'll talk more with Dave from the Go Touchable team, and stay tuned.
Guide Dogs for the Blind believes everyone deserves to live the life they want to live and to move through the world safely and confidently. That's why we offer a variety of programs at no cost to our clients. We match people who are blind or visually impaired in the U.S. and Canada with exceptional guide dogs. Guide Dogs for the Blind also provides a free orientation and mobility immersion program for people interested in learning the skills relevant to guide dog mobility. And our K9 Buddy program matches select dogs who are not suited to be guide dogs to be pets for people who are blind or visually impaired, including children and their families and adults of all ages. All of this is made possible by our generous donors and the help of thousands of incredible volunteers. To learn more about our life-changing mission, please visit guidedogs.com or call 800-295-4050.
There's so many days where I just want to pretend I'm not going blind, and I can't. With retinitis pigmentosa, the unknown is everlasting. What I want most is to stop this in its tracks. It all really boils down to my family, seeing my beautiful wife, seeing my kids. If only I could have more time. My hope here with the Foundation Fighting Blindness is to drive towards a cure. Donate now or get involved at fightingblindness.org.
Figuring out what comes next can feel uncertain, especially for teens and young adults who are blind or have low vision. At New View, Oklahoma, our Navigate Transition program helps young people move confidently into the next chapter after high school, whether college, career, or both. Navigate builds independence, skills, and self-confidence for what comes next. Through this immersive 2-week experience, young adults learn alongside peers while practicing real-world skills like financial management, meal preparation, assistive technology, orientation and mobility, and navigating the community. Participants also explore careers, build resumes, practice interviews, connect with professionals, and experience job shadows. Spots are limited and the program is offered at no cost. Learn more at newviewoklahoma.org. That's newviewoklahoma.org.
Well, we are back here at the Blind and Beyond radio show. I'm Dave, and we've got Hershey over there in Daytona Beach.
Yes, we do.
And don't forget, way up there in Indiana, Lafayette to be exact, Dave Schleppenbach from Go Touchable had an interesting conversation. We're going to finish that right now.
Well, we left off at CSUN, but we're still at CSUN.
Still at CSUN. And you know what? Let's talk a little bit about the blind and low vision tech there. How does that sound?
Sure.
So, to summarize it, and it's always hard to sum up something with so much going on, but there were definitely some trends that I saw. One trend is there's definitely a increase in the amount of mobility aids for people who are visually impaired. We talked about the robot dogs, for example, but also there are a lot of specialized canes, some of which are even self-guiding canes, like Cadence is one that's been demoed quite a bit. People were using that.
Yeah.
And there are a number of other ones too, and there are various types of what I would call smart canes. So you hold a cane like you kind of normally would, but the cane either steers you or it gives you other information through things like cameras and radar, LiDAR, just like a car or a robot would.
Now, our son, Jordan, was talking about the...
WeWalk is what you're thinking of, aren't you?
Well, I was going to say Jordan was thinking that they should come out with something with using drones. Do they have anything like that?
That's very interesting. I think that is actually the next frontier because drone technology has exploded. I actually have some friends of mine that just sold their drone company to a big giant military contractor. But
sure.
drones are really the wave of the future in a lot of areas. They've become a lot less expensive to make and can do a lot more. And so I think there's a possibility there of drones being assisting people with simple tasks or some navigation and mobility. The other interesting area was the use of what I would call assistant services. So things like the Be My Eyes, people may have heard of that. There were a number of those types of services out there where you can actually get a hold of somebody, a person, not necessarily in the same country,
Right.
and that person can help you with everyday tasks. It could be cooking, or it could be looking at your bank account, or whatever.
Yeah, the
Right.
first time I ever used Seeing AI was early morning, like 7 or 8 a.m., and I got somebody in Australia. I couldn't
There
believe
you
it.
go. And now that's even being augmented with artificial intelligence. So
That's exactly where I was going to go with that. Is
exactly.
like
So you've got
AIRA, for example.
Yeah.
We had Chris Sacca show us that first episode, and they're using Google Juice. Let's leave it at that. Gemini.
Yep.
And other tools to give us that ability of having the AI, kind of like Be My AI is.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got glasses now that you can wear that'll describe things to you. And that tech
Did you
is
see
really
any of that actually from Google or anyone, like, or was
They-
it just off brands that you saw?
it was off brands, but there's more than one of them now, and they're starting to catch on. And I think it's a matter of time before maybe it enters that hearing aid territory, where
Right.
just recently hearing aids are now over the counter, and I think we might see something in the eyeglass space as well.
Well, here are two things that, if just to kind of bring up to your attention, like Monster glasses frames, like that's the brand of the frames, and I'm trying to remember the other one. I'm losing the name, but when Samsung came out with the XR, you typically are an iPhone user, so Apple Vision Pro for you would be more up your speed. However, Samsung had the XR, and everybody loves these Meta glasses nowadays, including my co-host over here named Dave.
Wearing them right now, baby.
So
But
between
there are a bunch that are very similar to the
Yeah.
Ray-Bans now, though. It is amazing, and of course, lots of them that are now much more geared to blind folks. Not that there's huge differences, but at least the way you access the information is a lot more blind friendly to some people that are scared of technology.
Well, here's a thought that kind of built on this, Dave, is that what about if I'm using something like the Google glasses of sorts, like the smaller version of it, and then I got the Cadence tablet in front of me?
Exactly. Yeah, we're
Now
seeing
can
a lot
I
more of that
do that?
collaboration and interoperability. You got it. It's we got approached by probably at least a dozen companies in terms of intercompatibility with the Cadence. In fact, I can actually announce first time ever world exclusive. We're working on adding support for Dolphin Supernova, which is maybe
That's awesome.
a product.
Simon, thank you, Simon.
There we go. Maybe used a little bit more overseas, but still
Yeah.
a popular product. And we're meeting these people at these conferences, and everyone is talking about intercompatibility. And that was the other thing that really stood out to me. There's really a movement in what I would call tactile and haptic information for people who are blind and low vision. And that includes the Braille displays like the Cadence, which are multiple lines of Braille or do graphics and animation, but also includes things that I might think of more in the sense of virtual reality, or like a phone that gives you a haptic feedback when you're doing things on the phone. And all the devices are adding this in now because the way to do that has become so much less expensive and more mainstream.
I never thought I would use as much haptic stuff as I do now, and there's I'm finding out so much more out there. Even a couple of the apps for detecting money, people may not realize. Typically one of these apps, you'd hold up a bill and it would tell you you've got a 5 or a 10, but it can also give you information haptically, where you don't have to even announce to the world that
I got $100.
Yeah, hey,
See,
check this
Dave,
out. I got $100 in my hand.
You
Come
just
over
came
here.
up with a great business idea. I think we could do this. Maybe the three of us will create a device that creates money.
There you go.
How does
That would
that
be
sound?
good.
We got a spaceship with a button on it. I think it'll work. I think
Yeah, as
I'm
long as you got a
confident.
big button, you're good.
So, you know, I think it's hard for me to go on any show or discuss with anybody without at least telling one story. So I have a
Please,
couple stories that I'd like to
please, please,
share
please.
with the viewers. And you know, you meet a lot of people at a show like this, and we probably, I think we collected something like 400 cards and name tags of people we met in just a few days.
I had to get a new suitcase, another suitcase,
Another
just to
suitcase
load the
just for
cards
those.
back.
Yeah. Yeah. Between that and the thrift store visit that my wife took while I was at the show, you know,
No, I don't believe that. Never.
yes,
Never.
not at all. You can tell Brenda that there were thrift store visits done,
Oh
but
yeah, she's listening. She knows.
but
And she's
we did
jealous
meet
too.
we met some really amazing people, and it's it's the reason people are in this industry is to meet each other and to form connections. The reason people come to conferences is they're looking for answers, but really what they're doing is they're looking for people to connect with, people who will listen, people who will support them. Just like your previous guests, you know, we're talking about the community in Miami there, and you know, having support. And so we had a family come to look at the Cadence, and it was a mother and a father, and they had their young adult son with them. And the son had been through some horrible injuries, had some military service. I don't know the nature of the injuries, but they were severe. And he was in that process now about 2 years after he almost died from his injuries of recovery. And it gotten to a point where at least the physical recovery was far enough along that he could start to think about, you know, things like work accommodation and going back to school and how to deal with, you know, information and so forth. And so he was there to look for devices and services that could help him. His parents were there to support that. And we started going over some things with the Cadence, and you know, his initial reaction when we talked about the idea of a Braille device was that that's not for him. Too hard. He can't do it. You know, he recently lost his vision, and it's just, you know, but he's too old now. He can't learn. I said, well, why don't we try a few things? And so we got him suddenly working with this device, and he's recognizing shapes, and he's starting to feel dots, and he's starting to say, you know, I could maybe do this. And at that point, his father takes out his cell phone, and his father is showing me pictures of his son from the hospital to now, a 2-year progression. And you know, you see a young man in the hospital with tubes everywhere that, you know, you can't even believe he survived. And then you see him going through all these rehabilitation exercises, and he lost tremendous amounts of weight. He looked very frail, and slowly gaining the weight back, slowly recovering. And then suddenly, now here he is in front of us, and his dad was crying and said, "This is the next step for my son's rehab, is to learn how to read again so he can participate in society." It was just really a heartwarming moment, and that's really the reason I think where all of us are in this field.
Yes.
Sure, and a little fear is completely normal, and being afraid of what you don't know, and what you don't know is possible until somebody shows you that it is, you know.
Until you meet others that have done it. And we talked about role models in that first half. And, you know, I feel those are so important. I did meet a number of college students who were talking to me about struggling with some certain classes. And I thought, well, you know, I happen to know some blind people that end up getting degrees in that field. And let's connect A to B and let them start talking. And before you know it, they're back on track.
I don't think a lot of people don't even realize that, you know, you think of the Cadence as a Braille device, and naturally that's the connection, I think. But many people don't realize that you can actually read large print. In other words, you don't even have to know any Braille to use that device. If you had known print before, you can actually recognize raised print on the Cadence.
If I'm not mistaken, there's a speaker on it too, right?
Yeah, you can do audio, you can do tactile, and you've got a visual component. It's high contrast, white pins on a dark background. And about 80% of our users are not Braille users. Actually, they're people that want to develop those tactile skills, and we certainly encourage that. And, you know, we've done a lot to make it a modular and flexible system for people. And we did have some, you know, really interesting folks. I mean, you meet a lot of people in Los Angeles, and one of the folks that came by our booth and had a chance to try out the Cadence and comment on it was someone I've met at previous CSUNs, and it was good to see him again. And that is a gentleman by the name of Stevie Wonder. You might have heard of him.
Sounds
Dave,
familiar.
do you know that name? Stevie Wonder, he said.
Yeah, Stephen Wonder, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great what a
Yes.
great and
No, that's
inspiring
awesome.
person. I've
Thank you,
every
Mr.
time
Wonder.
Yes, absolutely. Every time I've interacted with him, it's just been tremendous. But we had a chance to show him the Cadence, and as a matter of fact, we showed him the audio visualizer and mixer tool that you might have used a little bit yourself there, Dave. And I gotta
Indeed, I
say,
have.
I demonstrated it by playing one of your songs, believe it or not. So
How
Stevie heard
cool.
one of your songs, and he said he was grooving to the beat, and he was like, I dig this.
All right.
So you can't get much better praise as a fellow musician, but he had an opportunity to
Dave, how
kind
about
of
that? You didn't have to take your mixtape to nobody.
There you
nobody.
go. He
Let's
didn't say,
take
get me out of here.
There you go. So maybe your big breakthrough is just around the corner. You never know, right? So.
There you go.
But yeah, it was an interesting experience, and he got talking with me a little bit about liking the portability of it and how this could benefit people, especially in other areas of the world like Africa and India, that the bigger, more complex devices may not be suitable, and that's definitely something I connect to deeply. And both of us have a love for charity and for giving back, and we talked about some things where we could maybe work to try to get these devices of all types, not just the Cadence, but everything out to people that need them. Because I think one thing that Stevie really believes in and was emphasizing is how that technology is the great equalizer. That this is the way in which people can achieve and do things that maybe weren't possible when he was younger and growing up. He had to, we were talking about his days using a slate and stylus. I'm sure you had some of those days yourself, Dave.
Oh, that was terrible. I mean,
Yeah,
some people love them, but I do have a slate and stylus here, and I can't believe that how some people that's all they used
it's
was.
amazing.
And for those who do not know, a slate and stylus basically is you are manually poking the braille from the opposite side of the page, poking the dots up. So
So
that
you got to think upside down. It's
yeah, you
pretty
got to think
far out.
upside down and backwards, kind of. So
How I started, and then I had to rewire my brain to type on a Perkins, and then I had to rewire it again to type on a computer, and it was. I'm still figuring out how to do stuff. So
well, technology has come a long ways, and unfortunately, I was just a little bit too born too early, where not everybody had a person. Well, nobody had a personal computer. We would have to go to the computer lab to do our computer work. So, when I was doing papers in college and high school, I was typing on a manual typewriter, and I
oh
knew
yes,
when I screwed up, I ripped the paper out and
yep.
started all
Start
over
over.
again. So I
By
got
the
to be a
way,
pretty good typist then at that
I
point.
got to tell a story about that. So
sure.
when I was in college, it was just starting with computers. And so, you could go to the lab and use the mainframe. But for most of your work, you were just typing on a typewriter. And we had an experience at the time. I was dating my first wife, who's since passed, but she was enrolled in an English class and was assigned a paper for that English class. And so she typed out a 3-page paper, and she asked me to take a look at it before she turned it in, and she handed it to me, and it was 3 blank pages. And I
Oh
looked
no,
closer, and I could see the impression of the typewriter head on those pages, but there was no ink
that's happened to me before. I'm
because the
embarrassed
ink
to
had run
say.
out. It was heartbreaking. And I managed to salvage it actually by taking a pencil and rubbing it on the paper and getting the impressions to stand out enough to where it could be retranscribed. But that people don't think about the little things like that can really be problematic. And again, that's really what the conference was trying to do, is provide that technology for people to really sort of help improve their lives and to make things easier to do.
Right.
If you take the barrier away, if you make it easier to do, then more people will do it. And I know this just from teaching science and math at Purdue. You know, I know that science and math are considered hard and complex, and they're not for everybody. But I found when teaching kids of all different types, regardless of if they had a disability or not, if you made it more engaging, if you took away some of the barrier to learning, you had a lot of kids that maybe before would have been, I don't really want to do this, to, and suddenly they're interested. Suddenly they'll ask a question and you'll come back and challenge them to figure that answer out yourself. And then they do it. It's amazing.
Yes. Was Mr. Was it from Caligon? Was Caligon there?
Caligon was not there, Tim, but you know what, we got to get him on your show.
Because you know, the reason why I asked you about Caligon itself, and we've cross-referenced so many variations of companies, but you've changed the way of thinking, in my mind at least. We could help each other out. We've talked about different disabilities like the switch control, the straw.
What's Calgon? All I know is that take me away, Calgon. You know,
this Caligon is in a company in
Smart
Melbourne,
seat
Florida,
cushion.
and they make a cushion. This is amazing. It's a wheelchair cushion that uses AI and pneumatics to automatically adjust to your body shape and position. And it prevents pressure sores, which is the #1 problem for people in wheelchairs.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Genius idea. Can't believe it took this long for somebody to do it, really. It's one of those products that just has to exist. And, you know, I saw another product at the ATIA conference. I actually just talked to them when I was out at CSUN, called Doorbotics. This is just an amazing product. Sounds so simple, but it's a robot that will open and close your front door. And it can do
might
so
need it, yeah.
securely. And it's a do-it-yourself installation kit that you can put on with 2 screws. No electrician, no none of that. It screws on, you get a little remote control, and you're off and running. And think about how amazingly useful that would be
Right.
for a lot
I
of
mean,
people.
blind and beyond, we call it that, but I have MS. Some days if my hand doesn't want to work right, I mean,
Exactly.
that's definitely an idea. I wouldn't take that, second glance and not have that.
Hey,
But
even if you got your hands full, like I mean, today I was
Absolutely.
helping bring some stuff in for groceries in for Brenda, and
a door open.
yeah. Well,
I would put one on every door in my house just because the kids leave it open all the time
I'm
so they can
telling
air
you.
condition the outside, you know.
we do have a door handle on our front door for that exact purpose, where if I got my hands full, I can actually open it with my elbow, but it looks a little ridiculous, I'm sure, to people, and I'd rather have a robot personally.
So we mentioned Stevie Wonder, and being that you're also with Braille Doodle and all that, what was his take on the devices, like as far as your impression of it?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. The first thing he said was that, I don't really need anything for myself. I've done well enough. I'm okay, but I come here because I want to see what's out there for the kids that don't have anything, and if there's a way to get this out in the mainstream and get this to these kids, which I was really moved by that. I share that same goal.
And he does a lot,
Definitely.
I know, for in the community and for underprivileged kids around the world, for that matter.
Yeah. Well, people look up to him as an inspiration. We had a couple of Cadence customers who just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and I was able to introduce them to Stevie. And that was kind of a life-changing event for them, to meet someone that they really looked up to. And he is amazing in his willingness for any blind person who wants to meet him. He'll take the time to do that because I think he understands, that role he plays in the community. But his comment was very interesting in that he really feels like this technology is accelerating to a point where it's really going to impact people's lives in a much more dramatic way than of his generation. And in the case of the Cadence, like he was amazed at how small and portable it was and how flexible it was. He actually had me hook it up to his cell phone so he could text message people with it, which he got a big kick out of that. And hopefully he'll get a chance to do a lot of cool and fun things with it. And as far as the Braille Doodle goes, I think he really enjoyed that product as well and saw right away the potential for kids and learning. And it's a $175 product. Anybody could get that for their child, and those are few and far between in our industry.
Being able to share so much stuff with kids, I can't wait until I've got one of those Braille Doodles so that I can share with my little niece when she wants to.
That's right.
She wants to give me a little art project, then I can actually check
Contribute.
it out, and I don't have to guess and pretend. I can, say,
Yeah.
hey, this is cool,
It's such a simple thing, and it frustrates me that it's taken our community so long in the tech world to think of it. But
Right.
one of the reasons with the Cadence that we did what we did is so kids could do mazes, they could do connect the dots, they could draw pictures for their parents. That stuff is essential, and we take that for granted in the sighted community, and it should be the same in the blind and low vision community.
So if we could get a little deep in the weeds in here, when does Gen 3 come out?
Well,
Of the Cadence, that is.
yeah.
Yes, the Cadence expo.
So we do have a second edition coming out later this
Oh, second
year.
edition, excuse me.
Yeah. And we have Gen 3 on the drawing board. So, it's kind of funny. My wife always asks me the same thing. She said, well, the iPhone is on what, number 12 or something. So, do you got it
What's
all
taking
mapped
you so
out?
long? Come on.
Right, exactly.
In your spare time.
Thanks.
Yeah. All we had to do was build the factory from scratch. I mean, no big deal, right? So,
The rest should come much faster, right?
but we do have some cool features coming out. And anybody who buys a Cadence, they get part of our upgrade program. So you have the opportunity to upgrade your device. And we are adding touch sensitivity. We are adding the Find My feature with the Apple ecosystem. So if you lose your device, it will make noise and it'll tell you where it was when you lost it. We are adding the accelerometer and gyroscope and magnetometer, so you can do position sensing and location-based stuff.
That's
So a
what
lot
I
of cool
need.
stuff. There you go. Dave, I can only find the Cadence for you. I can't find your keys. Sorry.
And
all
so
I
we
can
had-
say is if you lose your Cadence, God help you. What's
Well,
wrong
we didn't
with you
lose the one
people?
that went up into space and came back, did we?
We didn't. And in fact, and I got to tell you one last story here. I got in my hands a 3D printed chassis. So what we did just a few weeks ago, we did another rocket launch. We're kind of known for this.
Indeed.
And
I
this
was there
little
for one of those.
You were there for one of those. And we launched a Cadence again in this little 3D printed chassis, inside the nose cone of the rocket. And we took about 9 Gs on the launch. And even though the parachute worked fine, we took about 40 Gs on the landing. So quite a bit of G-shock. And during flight, this telemetry is beaming down to the Cadence so the students can control the experiment while it's happening. But we recovered that Cadence and still worked perfectly after launching and surviving re-entry. So
Do they send up any Twix bars this time?
no Twix bars this time. This was pure science, and this was part of the Purdue rocket team's competition for the national championship. And we've got some more launches coming up. And
Wait, what? Some Twix for Hershey's? What?
You
Well-
don't want any Twix on your Cadence anyway.
no,
Probably
next
just
time we'll
as
do a
well.
Hershey bar. We got to
But
do
you know
that.
what? Just to mention, sorry, I'm throwing my own channel in there, but you have part of the team, Veronica Quinn. She actually went through the whole Cadence in her perspective. And when I actually got to see it in person and a real person using it, right? It's not we're not in a demo mode where I'm with Dave or something, we're showing somebody. But Veronica actually used it, so she actually took it to Washington, D.C. before she came back down to Florida for the Asia conference. And if you want to check it out, at WCABAR, if you type that in YouTube, you'll find it. Or if you type in, I think, Cadence tablet from Washington, D.C. to Florida or something. But anyway, I'll put the link down in the description. But Dave, is there anything that I know that there's more secrets? We want to steal all the secrets from the main show on Sunday. So anything that you want to tell us?
Well, the big thing coming up, I want to make sure everybody remembers, we do have the Indianapolis 500 event coming up.
Yeah.
And that is in May. And we actually are going to be doing a bigger event this year than last year. Seems like it just gets bigger on us every year. We do have a pretty good block of tickets available. So if anybody would like to attend the Indianapolis 500 in person, if you are blind or low vision, get a hold of us. We can get you tickets. We can get you into our infilled pavilion. And believe me, you'll get the true experience. Make sure you are ready for the noises and the sounds and the sights and the smells. But it's a great experience. You get to watch it on the Cadence. You get to listen to our descriptive audio. I might even fill in to do a little bit of descriptive audio this year. It's rumored, so that if that's a turn off, I'm sorry, but it is what it is.
You got the skills there, Mister.
You did
It's
a well,
only right
great
that
job
you
on
do
that baseball game.
And then the other thing I just will mention, we will be looking to go to both the NFB and ACB conventions this year. So we have a lot of conventions coming up.
Right.
So stay tuned with us. Check out gotouchable.com and if you want us to come visit you, you never know. Drop us a line and we might show up at your door.
What's
And
the
of
state
course, if you
counts?
got any
15,
questions,
13? How many state counts do we have?
Up to 18 states now and
18
and
now.
growing.
Okay, so I think we gained 3 more, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the 3 states, but it's a fun way to look at how many states are we going to gain. And Dave Schleppenbach has visited at least 48 states, so he's missing out on, I think, Hawaii and Alaska.
and if you forget about it, if you got questions about the cadence and you need to get a hold of Dave and you can't remember the name of the device, you can always make comments in here, and we will forward you to Dave because we're like that, We've got
GoTouchable.com.
GoTouchable.com, and it's the Cadence tablet.
Cadence tablet. Thank you so much there, Dave.
It's true. Dave, you are awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Anytime, and I'd be the Johnny on the spot to report on conferences anytime you want.
Appreciate that, and it was thank you for supporting the Beyond in this, that you gave us not only the blind but the Beyond half. We have some listeners in the room right now that will benefit, so thank you so much for what GoTouchable does for our industry and our community. And again, if you haven't checked it out, go check out GoTouchable.com. And if you want to learn more about Dave Schleppenbach, he's been on our show before, so check out the old episodes, or go onto my channel. I talked to him there too. Well, ladies and gentlemen, hope that you're enjoying the guests and the folks that we're bringing to the show and bringing you value. If there's anything else that you want to learn about, or perhaps you want us to bring in a guest that's not in the vision space at all, please feel free. It's all about being equal or being human, right? We're all human beings here, and I love
Blindness is just one little part of us. We're probably more beyond than we are blind, actually. So the truth is, we all got lots of things in common. So who knows? We might even we can lots of things beyond.
Yes, indeed. And you know what? I'm so happy today. We talked a little bit about travel. We got to talk a little bit about hardware, software, because as you're noticing, AI has given us some superpowers at times. At other times, it's not quite super because you're arguing with it. But
that's true.
Maybe you want to come in and tell us your story. So again, email us, blindandbeyondshow@gmail.com, and or drop a comment. Dave, anything new with you over there? What have you been learning?
Well, we're going to take a short break, and then we are going to listen to a little bit from the Blind and Beyond radio show last night.
Ooh, I like that.
And we so much appreciate everybody listening. We'll be right back.
I wonder what this button does here.
Oh, no, not that one.
Blind and Beyond.
Blind and Beyond.
It's the Blind and Beyond show.
With Ursula Trevetti.
And Dave Hillerbrand.
We'll be talking to all kinds of interesting people in the blindness community. And beyond. I wonder where they could be. Let's check on them now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, Hirsch, something weird is happening, man. I think we're landing. Wow.
Thank you once again for joining us. going to give you a little taste of the Blind and Beyond radio show from last night. Don't forget, 7 to 9 p.m. here on YouTube every Monday night, live. And of course, this show will be up there live. Well, not live, but Memorex from now
CD
till
burner.
eternity. Yeah, exactly. All that.
Blind and Beyond radioshow.org. And if you go under shows 2026, you'll catch all the old episodes from the Blind and Beyond radio show. If you go to YouTube here, type in Blind and Beyond show, go under the playlist. All the shows have been put into a playlist for you to watch. Thank you.
See you next time.
We'll go catch up on that episode now, huh? Let's go catch up on that episode, my dude.
Is our friend Bryce Weiler. And if you don't remember, Bryce is a sports commentator, and now he's also the co-founder of the Beautiful Lives Project. Welcome back, Bryce.
Welcome back, Bryce.
Bryce.
Bryce, you there?
Wait, he's muted. Hold on, everybody.
Bryce, you there?
I thought he'd unmute himself. Okay, well, we'll say, there he is. Hi, Bryce.
Hi, Michael and Lynn and everyone. Thank you for having me on.
Say hello to Tina. Say hello to
Hi,
Tina.
Tina.
Bryce. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So, Bryce, so people who don't know about you, let's start at the beginning and let's tell people what changed your life and how you got involved in sports commentating as a blind individual.
Sounds good.
All
I was
right.
born 4 months premature, and as I started growing older, I started listening to games on the radio, listening to Brian Barnhart commentating Illinois football and men's basketball, and Don Fisher commentating Indiana Hoosiers football and men's basketball. I attended college at the University of
Evansville?
Yes, Evansville, and I was able to sit on the men's basketball bench at Evansville, and I had the opportunity to be around college basketball players and coaches. I also started commentating games on the radio. I did 85 games in college in men's and women's basketball, baseball, soccer, and softball. It was through the experience, though, of sitting on the men's basketball bench that I wanted to help others to live their dreams through sports and to show that no matter what disability or obstacle someone has in their life, they can still live their dreams and pursue their goals if they work their hardest and surround themselves with people who believe in them and who want to help them to be successful in life.
And that's the Beautiful Lives Project?
Correct. I co-founded that in 2017. We've done a range of events across the country, allowing whether individuals are blind, deaf, in a wheelchair, having autism, various groups the opportunity to take part in sports. We had a fashion show last year for individuals who were blind, and they picked out their clothing through touch, through maybe feeling how smooth a shirt felt, or they liked how a pair of pants had some bumps on the legs. And so we set up these range of events to allow individuals the opportunity to have life-changing moments and opportunities.
That's wonderful. Bryce, I bet people, since it's baseball season now, why don't you talk about your work with the Baltimore Orioles?
Yeah, so I worked with Baltimore with the Orioles from 2016 through 2024. In 2018, Baltimore wore Braille on their jerseys, and that was a day to show the importance of individuals who are blind learning how to read Braille. So often, whenever someone develops his or her challenge partway through their life, whether it being individuals who are blind or deaf or having autism, they sometimes struggle to want to learn the specialized skills that can help them to be successful. And through that day, that was a day where the Orioles staff went beyond baseball and it showed individuals who are visually impaired or blind that if you learn how to read Braille, I learned when I was 5, since I've been blind for as long as I've been around, but for someone who becomes blind partway through their life, it can sometimes be stressful, or they don't feel comfortable learning Braille or learning how to use a cane. So that's why events such as that day back in September 2018 are important, because there are people in the world who want to help individuals who are visually impaired or blind to be successful, which is what all of you do on this radio show every Sunday for 2 hours, sharing stories, promoting confidence, and showing that everyone can live their dreams in life.
Wow. Dina, do you have anything to ask or comment on?
Well, I'm impressed, Bryce. So nice to meet you, that you've turned like a passion of yours into a success and something meaningful. So congratulations to you, and kind of pushing it out to the general community and highlighting it. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. So besides the Orioles, have you worked with anybody else that you can highlight for us?
I've helped companies outside of sports, Everfi, Latch, and a few others. Normally it's been running a comprehensive program from working to make social media accessible for all disabilities, the website, app, working to hire people for jobs and employment, whether it be those who are blind, having autism, or other groups as well. And then there's been other places where I may have just helped them to make their website or their app or social media accessible. But I'm willing to help anyone do whatever they might need done. I especially like it, though, when I'm able to run a more comprehensive program, because so often companies could do more to hire people who are visually impaired or blind or other groups for jobs and employment, and the company does not think about how to set a budget to purchase the accommodations that might be needed, or how to analyze job roles to ensure that anyone can do these jobs. And it's all a process. For example, making the app, the website, and the social media as accessible as they could be and should be, and then makes it easier for the HR staff to go out and say, yes, we truly do want to hire anyone of any race, any ethnic background, and no matter what the obstacles and challenges they might face in their life.
That's great. Where did you get your training?
So I went to the Indiana School for the Blind for high school, and then I learned some things there, and then learned during my time in college at Evansville, and then moving on after that at Western Illinois in graduate school.
Bryce, I have a question. Did you get one of those jerseys in 2018? Did they give you one?
I do have one of the Braille jerseys upstairs here in my closet, and it's something that I enjoy having a great deal.
I'd love to see that. Yeah, that's neat.
With the shirt
Yeah.
of the Braille?
Yeah, I'd love to. If there's any way with Be My Eyes or something, you could send a picture in the email or something. I'd love to see it.
That's great.
Yeah,
On
I
the
could try
shoulder?
and have someone get that
With the
done.
Braille on the shoulder?
Is it on the shoulder or the chest or the back with the number?
The Braille was on the back in the front of the jersey, where the player's number was and where the name of the player was. Mine is an extra jersey just in case they had a player called up, so I don't have a player's name on it, but I do have everything else in Braille.
That's really
Orioles, and then I don't remember what the jersey number was.
So tell us more about I'm sure people would like to hear more about how you, as a consultant with the baseball league, how you advise them to make the game more accessible for the listener.
So, well, for broadcasts, I work to ensure that they do not have the 8-second time lapse on their radio broadcasts. That's something that I try and get all sports teams to fix, because that can be a frustrating thing whenever you're at a game and 8 seconds before you hear the audio, you hear the crowd getting excited, but you don't really know what's happening. I found that it's good with either sports teams or companies to give a speech when I first start working with the staff, to show them that I'm not there to take their jobs or to make them feel bad that they don't know how to do certain things, but I'm there to help them to be as accessible as they can be for all groups, whether they're blind or any other group, because it's important to me not just to highlight people who are visually impaired or blind because I'm blind. When I started helping Baltimore with the Orioles in 2016, I had no idea how to do any of this work in terms of accessibility. And I realized that having a high-level position with the Orioles, everyone would be observing what I was doing, that I needed to learn about every disability and every group. So I spent 3 months studying, but I remember when I got my work with the Orioles, I was pretty scared because I didn't really deserve that job when I started.
Bryce, this is Michael.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, here's a question, or something I know. I am a avid sports person. I listen to sports pretty much all the time, baseball and football, and not too much basketball because I listen on the radio. It's very hard for me as a blind person to listen on the television because in baseball they tell you more what's happening. If you're listening to television and sports, it's not usually good for people that are blind to watch television because they leave out a lot of things. They assume because the person's watching has eyes. So if you're listening and you're just like myself that's blind, you don't get the whole picture like on radio. On radio, you hear the whole picture. What do you think?
I do think that is correct, and the reason why television does that is because most of the individuals taking part can see, and so television doesn't want to describe too much so that it makes those individuals who are watching it mad. I do have a television network that I think I'm going to be helping with accessibility in the next few months, and one of the projects I've discussed with the CEO of this television network that airs some sports teams games on it for some teams is that I want to work with the broadcasters to teach them how to make their broadcast more accessible for individuals who are visually impaired or blind, and also those who have other groups as well. So if I do get this television network, maybe I can get one of the broadcasters to come on when you have an open slot on your show, or the CEO, and he can share with you more about the work I've done with the television broadcasters. Because
Bryce.
even saying a few more words can help someone to better understand a play. And it's all just about thinking, how can the broadcasters change in certain small ways what they're doing to make the television broadcast better for everyone? Learning disabilities, that's another group that I'm going to work with their broadcasting staff on also. And just those are the main two groups really who are left out in a television broadcast, those who are blind.
Bryce.
As well.
Yeah. So it's sort of like giving them more audio description tools and techniques to audio describe what's going on, like you have for theater. I mean, I know it's another layer, but you're talking about giving the broadcasters more.
Bryce, we're going to break.
Information.
We'll have to take a night. We'll have to have you back, Bryce. We'd like to have you back, Bryce. Is that okay? We'll have to have you
Sounds
back.
good. Have a good rest of your evening.
Tell people quickly about the Beautiful Lives Project, how they can find out more information.
Our website is www.beautifullives.org.
Okay.
Beautifullives.org. We've got events coming up with Maryland football in May and Boston College football in June, if anyone would like to attend, to participate, or volunteer.
That's my alma mater, University of Maryland.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
All right.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Bryce.
Bryce. We'll have you back,
Thank
Bryce.
you.
Let's go.
Blind and beyond.
Blind and beyond.
Blind and beyond. Blind and beyond.
It's the Blind and Beyond show.
With Nurse Trevetti.
And Dave Hillebrand.
They'll be talking to all kinds of interesting people in the blindness community and beyond.
Well, one of the commercials just played, so I just wanted to remind everybody personally about the Glaucoma Research Foundation Patient Summit, June 12th to June 13th at the Grand Hyatt in San Francisco. So
All right, ladies and gentlemen, hope that you enjoyed this evening's show. We will be back, as Dave said, next week, Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern. So we shall see you then. Thank you, everybody, for your help in the chat. And again, if you have more questions or thoughts, please let us know. Dave, thank you, sir. You are on the check your thingamajig. You got to hit the button with the button that says mute. So if you do want to talk. But thank you all. We will see you all next week. Cheers.